my favorite animal to hunt. Big, mature, dominant whitetail bucks.
Look at the mass on him. He's mature.
You've got a small window of opportunities to make it count. Sometimes you bring them home and sometimes you don't.
Put my top pin right behind his front shoulder, squeeze the release, and the rest was history.
One slip, one mistake for me, and that animal's gone. And once you make that shot, that is the greatest feeling in the world, and that's why I bow hunt.
Holy cow! He is a stud of a buck. He's 5 years old. This is what you hunt for.
They are the smartest, most adaptable, big game animal in North America.
Just give me a second. Welcome to Illinois. It's an absolute perfect morning. In the high 20s, heavy frost. It's right in the beak of the rut. These bucks should be cruising, chasing does, looking for does. Yes, that didn't take long. That did not take long at all. Look at this. What'd I tell you? Big 8. Big 8. My first buck with the Creed, the new Matthews Creed. Smooth draw, rock solid back wall. Just boom. You don't feel nothing, dead in your hand. Let me get him up out of here for you. Look at this. Big, pretty 8-pointer right there. Look at that. Long main beams, good brows.
Some of the biggest mistakes that guys make when they start going after big dominant bucks, when you decide to start hunting bigger, mature whitetails, you know, first thing is you have to understand that their nose is their #1 line of defense. And if you've got tree stand locations set up for north winds or south winds, you don't chance it. You don't go to one stand if the wind is iffy. And it's easy to do because it might be your favorite stand, but you don't go there, especially if you're hunting a particular big dominant buck, like the situation when you are hunting in your own backyard.
This deer is at least 6 years old. We'll find out from his teeth, but he's just a big, heavy, mature deer.
And you know there's a certain big giant there, because if he busts you in that tree, then that particular buck, I don't think you're going to shoot him out of that tree. You may shoot him somewhere else, but you've ruined that tree for that buck.
The one thing I would caution about to hunters that might fall into a trap is getting too fixated on one particular buck.
He's got that time where it's...
Maybe hunting a stand more than you should, maybe hunting an area more than you should after this one buck. There's other deer out there. Sometimes when you get too fixated on one animal, it clouds your judgment. You don't move as freely, you just don't make right, good choices.
You know, we as whitetail hunters learn every day. Even though we call ourselves dominant buck pros, we may learn a new tip or technique from the average Joe Blow that's been hunting for 20 or 30 years that doesn't run a camera, doesn't do anything. We learn every day. He's down. That is a beautiful Georgia buck. When you stop learning, you might as well quit hunting, because you're gaining access every day. You're learning more knowledge every day from books, DVDs, TV shows, people, everybody. Every bit of knowledge you gain will help you target a certain animal and kill that dominant deer.
Success in the whitetail woods often comes at a price. And for the pros of dominant bucks, learning how to adapt and react to hunting variables creates a troubleshooting mentality. Learning from doing is a key element in the transformation of being just a hunter to being a good hunter. The instincts of outdoorsmen who are seemingly natural-born hunters really aren't born with the skills. But these individuals have learned to apply and organize a mental database of behaviors and decisions to avoid. Top hunters use a mental checklist of basics, and this baseline way of thinking ensures that for the most part, the odds are stacked in the hunter's favor. Of course, with wary dominant bucks, there is no guaranteed method, strategy, or process for 100% success. Stay tuned for more big buck hunting tips when Matthew's Dominant Bucks returns.
This portion of Matthew's Dominant Bucks is presented by Heumann Extendable Tree Saw, the shooting lane saw.
I'm Rob Scott, and you're watching Dominant Buck. Beautiful buck. Mass, good tine length. Beams almost wrap around.
I'm Stan Potts, and this is Dominant Bucks. Big, mature 8-pointer wraparound beams. A lot of hunters might see a big dominant buck or two each year, but seeing him and taking him is two different things with a bow. That's why you have to go through the entire process.
The thought of actually not shooting a deer this season is kind of a gut-wrenching feeling. It kind of sickens you a little bit, but on the flip side, there's some positive aspects to it, because you know what you're going to come into next season. Hopefully that deer that you were chasing, not just one deer, but 2 or 3 big bucks that you were chasing that season, they're going to make it to the next season. You're going to find their sheds in late February and March. So I think, and there's a lot of learning curves that come along with it as well. You know, did I push into an area too much, or did I not judge the wind right, or should I have hunted this particular stand over that one? I think you learn not just obviously every day of hunting in the woods, but season to season, you gain so much knowledge, and it just keeps getting better each and every year.
I mean, killing a big deer is, if you have a pie, there's about 50 pieces to the piece of pie. And if some people might only do 20 of them 50 pieces. So I think that your regimen that you go through on the stand, having your feet in position, doing the right thing at the right time, not call at this time, not be quiet at this time, once you get to where you're doing 48, or you never do 50 out of 50 pieces, but once you get to where you're doing more pieces of that puzzle, the higher your success is going to be.
You're watching Dominant Bucks.
I learned it doesn't do you any good to see a dominant buck and not be able to get an arrow in him if he's inside a bow range. The biggest thing I think is trimming. Make sure when you set up a tree stand, you go in there early, you get it trimmed out, you make sure you got plenty of shooting lanes, so when you do get that deer inside of 40 yards, you can get an arrow in him.
One piece of advice, for hunters to be aware of that may bring some bad luck their way, don't be lazy. The first couple of days you start hunting in October, November, whenever you start, you're excited, you're washing your clothes, you're doing all the steps. And I know a lot of guys toward the end of that month and, after season's been on for a couple of weeks, they kind of get careless. And my tip today, or my advice would be, hold that same process, do all the same things that you did at the beginning of the year.
I've been filming since 2006, and I've got some great kills on video. I've got some big bucks on video, but this one was special just simply because I was filming in HD. I've got all this brand new camera equipment. It was my biggest whitetail to date, off of the ground at like 9 yards no less. And it's just something special when you're able to get a whitetail coming in, stops in front of you, full frame, perfect video, and then be able to make the shot on top of it. There's just nothing that's equal to that whenever you're hunting. I mean, you can kill all the big deer in the world until you do it on video and do it by yourself. There's just nothing that equals that.
Solo cam hunting can be tough, but it's very rewarding. Kansas buck hunter Todd Payne has been watching dominant bucks for several years. As the father-in-law to solo cam pro Brian Hollins, Todd sent in this early season buck hunt he taped on his own solo cam style.
Solo camming it this morning. I've got my trusty Matthews Z7. It's early season. As long as there's does here, I know what's going to happen in 30 days from now. So I'm going to sit back here for about another hour. It's really quiet, not much going on. Fairly warm. Mid-50s, supposed to get about 78 today, so just enjoy being out. We're still about a good 30 days away from hardcore rut action. Just kind of checking out things, and like to see country I always had good experiences with. Beep. I just shot a nice 3-year-old buck. I think I hit him really good. We'll give him a little bit of time and go check it out. Well, as you saw, I smashed the buck. I followed blood. He didn't go 75 yards. Southeast Kansas, Bourbon County. Early season, October the 10th, 2013. Shot him about 8:05 out of the tree this morning with my Matthews Z7. My son-in-law, Brian Hollins, 3rd year for Matthews Solo Cam Pro staff. He's been on me and on me to keep trying and trying and trying when I wanted to give up. The reward is so great once you finally do it, because I've got that hunt forever. You're watching Matthews Solo Cam Dominant Bucks. Thank you for joining me. I gotta get up, my legs cramping. Oh, damn.
This portion of Matthews Dominant Bucks is presented by Polaris, hardest working, smoothest riding.
This Dominant Bucks flashback is presented by Scout Look Weather's free mobile phone apps, enabling you to hunt smart. Watch as Georgia buck hunter Rob Scott settles the pin on a decoying Illinois monster buck in this flashback from November 2011.
When you get done, that's the feeling you get. You can't match that feeling with anything.
That's a great Illinois buck right there, folks. Great mass, a 4-year-old, what we want to try to shoot on the Dominant Buck Pro staff. I'm talking about gorgeous buck.
Things change. Nothing stays the same, especially in a whitetail world. That's what makes a whitetail so magnificent. He adapts constantly, daily, to human activity, to farmers, to situations, and you've got to be able to roll with him. From year to year, from hunt to hunt, if things change, if the combine shows up in the cornfield this afternoon that you're hunting, you've got to have a plan B. You got to roll and know that the whitetail is used to these things happening to him. He's used to these obstacles. So don't let it get you down. Just roll with it and go to plan B and hang in there.
That's a great looking buck. I passed him earlier in the year and I definitely wasn't gonna shoot him tonight. Be a great buck next year, good looking 3-year-old. We need his granddaddy to come out.
Basically, I'm on a late season standing bean pot. I come into this situation, pulled a cutty back camera. This was my target buck. I had him on my camera in the bean field. Buck come out, popped out across the field from me. I done had 2 or 3 other bucks and some does come in feeding in the beans right under me. Just like a mature deer does, he comes out, scans the field, really didn't feel like something was right, never come in to eat, turns and goes to walk down the road. Well, me as a solo cam pro, I'm focusing on getting footage of him first and foremost, second trying to get a killing shot off.
That's a buck we call stacks. 70s deer, mid-70s, 4-year-old for sure, maybe even a
5. You talk about a sickening feeling. As a trophy hunter or a deer hunter in general, that is a very sickening feeling. When you target one animal that you've been trying to kill all year, you get the opportunity that you've asked for, and then you don't connect or don't make it happen like you want to. That's a very disheartening feeling.
So close to me. I was scared to move, really. My stand was trying to pop. Gotta settle that pen, make you sick.
Go on a 1 week hunting trip, I like taking at least 2 or 3 cuttybacks with me, and you can't be every place at once, obviously, but this particular one I got set right here. Deer coming in from Milo Field across the road, coming in getting a drink in the morning before they drop into the river bottom. I said 8 feet off the ground, they're not 6 feet off the ground. And you can see Ken stands right here, camera stand. My stand's right here. We crawl right up in there, we got it brushed in good. And the stands are just up the hill, like about halfway. It's morning of November 9th. Ken Pride and I are in Kansas. And we're back in the cedar set that we killed a nice 8-point out of last year. There's one buck we call the drop tine 8. He's got like a little 4 or 5 inch drop tine, a little more, some more trash, but he's mainframe 8. He's got some more trash off the bases. Another one that we had an encounter with is a beautiful, probably mid-150s 10. He's got split brows.
Coming up, dominant buck hunter Mark Wimpy goes full draw on a great Kansas buck when Matthew's Dominant Bucks continues.
I'm Ross Moline, and this is Dominant Bucks.
The legend of goalpost. Look at those brow tines. Wow, that sucker's big.
First time into a tree stand is always the best. Well, I kind of agree with that in most cases. The first time in can be the very best, especially in early season and in late season when the deer are coming to a specific food source. But during the rut, sometimes the first time in, the 10th time in might be the time, because you're hunting multiple bucks that are cruising, coming from other home core areas, the bucks from that home core area or wherever. So first time in is usually the best in early season and late season, can be the best during the rut, but you can't get caught up in always being the first time in being the very best, and then your confidence level starting to drop the second, third, fourth time you go into a tree stand. So always remember that the first time in may be the best, but the last time in is always the best when you take that dominant buck.
Early in my video career, I was filming for North American Whitetail. I was filming Stan Potts, and hunting with him during the rut, he really taught me to split hairs with the wind, and that really works. A lot of times when you think the wind is in your favor and it's not in the big bucks, he knows that. So if you can find a situation where that big buck thinks he's coming into the wind, but he's not quite catching you, like if you're along a riverbank and the deer are traveling from the north, traveling south with a south wind with a little bit of east of it, to where enough of the east is blowing it down the river where they think they're walking into it, but they're not catching you. That's an ideal time. It's a perfect time. The buck thinks that it's perfect for him. It's not for you, but it's a good opportunity to kill one. Smoked him. Yes, that is a dandy buck. I haven't ever killed a buck with a drop tine. It's got a 4 or 5 inch drop tine coming off his left main beam. There he is, right there, Ken. All right, good deal. 100 yards, just like we thought. Look at that. Oh man, what a buck. Big mature buck, 4 or 5 year old, that's what we're looking for. And he went down this morning. The rut did him in. He was back trailing a doe that come in on us earlier, had a little 7-pointer, chase her right by. And for the next half hour, we watched the big 10-pointer with split brows out in the switchgrass field, bird dogging a doe, and he bred her a couple times. And we're sitting there and Ken heard something to his right, said, "Mark, here comes another buck." And I put the binoculars on him. It was this guy. Recognized him right away as a drop tine 8-pointer. Matthews introduced him to Mr. Muzzy, and he didn't go 100 yards. I double lunged him. It was massive blood trail all the way to him. I am happy. We are done in Kansas. We'll be headed back to Illinois.
It's not easy, and we're not always successful. Some of the best hunts I've ever been on, I was not successful. I didn't shoot anything. But you can't give up and you can't get discouraged. You can be going through the toughest of your whole hunting career, and then all of a sudden you look up, buck of a lifetime, here he comes, all happens within 60 seconds or a minute, and it's all worth it then. So stick it out, don't give up, stay focused.